Killer Kross with the potential to be a top heel. Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff. I am your host, Alexis Carrillo, and tonight we have the final episode of Impact before their special next week, Final Hour. And one thing I just want to point out is that hopefully the viewership for Impact Wrestling gets back up. Hopefully the 200,000 plus viewers that usually tune into Impact in its old time slot have already found out about, them moving into a later time slot, and they can watch this show, because last week's show will go down in history as the lowest viewed episode of Impact of all time, with only 98,000 views, or 98,000 viewers for last week's show. So not a lot of people watched the previous episode. Hopefully tonight people can tune in, because they are building up to this match between Killer Kross and Johnny Impact for the Impact World Championship at Final Hour. And the fact is that Killer Kross has given me this sadistic type vibe, especially with his voice. His voice is so calm, but the way he looks, his mannerisms, everything about him just gives me, this sense of this is a very bad man. That this guy has a killer instinct, but his voice is so calm, so calculating, and that's very interesting to see on a TV show. And, back a few months ago when they introduced Killer Kross to us as this heel, he had been building up with that, laying people out backstage, leaving them those notes. He finally made his first entrance, and I realized something. This guy, he screams money at me. His character, his look, his vibe, his aura, his manner of speech, his mannerisms, everything about this guy speaks to me, or yells at me, big star. And if you ask me, the only thing that's been preventing him from getting to that level is his booking. It's the way they've made him look in that ring. Because we've gone from a Killer Kross who was introduced to us, and yes, performers and wrestlers did get some offense on him, but Killer Kross, he took it. He did appear to be in pain, but he just came back for more. And I feel like right now, the current character of Killer Kross with Moose and previously with Austin Aries, it just seems that, he takes offense a little bit too much and he sells it a little bit too much. And that's not the type of vibe or momentum, at least for me, that I want for this type of heel, which I believe can be the top heel in the company. Unfortunately, Killer Kross is going to be Impact's second challenger. After last week's just show-stopping match with Phoenix, I was so happy they gave us that match, and just the way Phoenix was able to use those ropes to his advantage. He just seemed like he was having the time of his life using those ropes against Johnny Impact for his offense. But I also do believe there is no way in hell they're going to have Johnny Impact drop the title this damn soon. So what matters to me in this feud, in this rivalry, is have Johnny Impact go over. He retains his world championship, but have Killer Kross look menacing, have Killer Kross look strong as hell, and make people believe, on any other day, on any other night, Killer Kross would have beaten Impact and he would have been our world champion. Because they have to protect Killer Kross as one of the top guys in the company. And you saw that all the way back since he was introduced, because they kind of put Congo Kong in a back burner Because Congo Kong was the one being built up to be in a prime position in the company. Killer Kross got in, and they said, Congo Kong, we like you, we put you over Abyss, but we're just gonna focus on Killer Kross right now. So with that said, we'll just have to see what kind of retaliation we see from Impact on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling on Pop. Because Killer Kross, as we saw last week, he laid him out. So moving on, we get the Bound for Glory rematch for the Knockouts Championship, Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie. Now, when I was talking about how they should keep this feud going, this rivalry going, because number one, Taya Valkyrie is a top knockout, and she should be in the consideration for that Knockouts Championship. I wasn't expecting them to blow off this feud this quickly. Because Tessa Blanchard has been champion for quite a few months now, and she beat Taya Valkyrie at Bound for Glory, and I believe she will beat Taya Valkyrie tonight and retain her title. But I also believe that once that happens, Taya Valkyrie will have no argument in her favor to, challenge her to a future match, to be a serious contender to Tessa Blanchard as Knockouts Champion. And that just limits Tessa Blanchard's options and opponents in the future. And you know me, I'm not a fan of people running through divisions so quickly. If you're going to give them a long title reign, sure, have them run through the entire division. But when you're having 2, 3, 4 months in as champion, you really need to be a little bit more smart with how you deal challengers to that champion so that you don't run out of challengers. So, if you ask me, Tessa gets the win tonight, and in the future, she might get beat by Jordynne Grace, who we saw a vignette of last week, who is of All In fame, where she manhandled the Machine, Brian Cage. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tessa Blanchard does against Jordynne Grace. LAX defends their tag team titles against Sydal and Ethan Page. LAX is another case, at least for me, is another case of Tessa Blanchard. They've run through that division pretty much, or through pretty much any serious contender for the tag team titles. And the fact that they are still champions right now means that neither the OGs or the Christs can get near the tag team title picture right now, because that's been played out. That's the past feuds that they have, gone over with. Sydal and Page, it's kind of a mismatched team. They haven't tagged, even their partnership, their backstage vignettes haven't been as strong as they should be. It just seems mismatched. So LAX, I have to predict with them going over, and hopefully they move him into a feud with the Desi Hit Squad, the brand new Desi Hit Squad, which we saw last week. You have this guy come out and lay Rohit Raju out, and then it is revealed that he is with Gama Singh, and then apparently now he's going to be Rohit Raju's new tag team partner. So with that in mind, it's pretty sad to think that, they got over Gursinder Singh so quickly. But hey, it's the wrestling industry. Just move these guys into a tag team title feud with LAX into the new year, possibly culminating at Homecoming in Nashville, Tennessee on January 6th. And then start the new year with a bang with LAX versus the Lucha Brothers for the tag team titles. That could happen, that could play out, but there's something you gotta do with LAX. You gotta throw new tag team challengers at them, and I think the Desi Hit Squad is a perfect and prime example of that. Then we got, speaking of the Lucha Brothers and the OGs, we got Pentagon Jr. in a singles match against Homicide. Now, this is a no-brainer. Pentagon Jr. is going to go over. Homicide hasn't been a focal point of Impact Television, at least in singles competition since, I believe, 2010, maybe even before that. So it's going to be very hard to believe that Homicide is going to have any type of chance of beating a former world champion and one of the best wrestlers in the world in Pentagon Jr. What matters here the most is the rivalry that they're building up. We talked about how the OGs were going to go after Konnan's guys. Now, they could not go after LAX due to the whole storyline that ended at Bound for Glory. But, you know, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix, they're Mexican luchadors. Konnan is a former Mexican luchador. You know, there's some connection right there. And even if there isn't, you can put 2 and 2 together and, you know, you could manufacture a storyline where, yes, Konnan did bring the Lucha Brothers into Impact Wrestling. So it makes sense. As far as who comes out victorious of this entire feud, there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be the Lucha Brothers. I mean, the OGs, their previous history as LAX, as the first incarnation of LAX, should put them on a high level, but they still have to put the younger guys over. And that's what I think they're going to do. That's the purpose I think they are serving on Impact Television right now. So, with this match, Pentagon possibly gets the win by disqualification because you can't bookend the feud this damn quickly. We've also got Rich Swann versus his friend and tag team partner at Bound for Glory, Willie Mack. It's going to be Willie Mack's singles debut on Impact TV. And it appears that Willie Mack is going to be staying with Impact for at least a few more months, maybe in the long run. And with that, I hope he gets to bring the brand new NWA National Championship with him to Impact Television. You know, put that in the limelight, make that a focal point of his character, and, you know, let everyone in the Impact audience know Willie Mack is damn good in that ring, but he also means business, and he can also get the job done. So as far as this match, I have to go with Willie Mack getting the victory over Rich Swann. Swann's been a part of the Impact roster for quite a few months now. I don't think he needs a victory over Mack as much as Mack would need a victory in his first singles match in Impact. So I have to go with that. And just a few more notes on last week's show. They're building up Sami Callihan versus Brian Cage for the X Division Championship. Loved the moment when Brian Cage took the baseball bat away from Callihan and then gave it back to him and, you know, pretty much challenged him to it. To hit him with the bat, saying that, you know, you can hit me with that, it still won't take me down, I'm still going to take you down. So, obviously building up to a possible Callihan coronation as X Division Champion and possibly Cage moving on to bigger and better things. But for now, let's enjoy Cage versus Callihan, because I know they're going to tear the house down. And finally, with this whole Eli Drake lawsuit situation, I gotta say it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, but if they pull the trigger on something that would be extremely entertaining for me to watch, and would certainly be different than what any other company is doing today, is that if they, you know, make it literal and have Eli Drake take Impact to court, like actually have segments in court where you have Eli Drake versus Ed Nordholm, Don Callis, and Scott D'Amore, I think, if done correctly, those segments would be gold. So that's just an idea I'm throwing out there. But anyway, that's the preview for tonight's episode of Impact on Pop. Make sure you tune into Impact on Pop, new time slot, 10 p.m. That's their new time, so you make sure you tune in to watch tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. If you have any thoughts, comments, or predictions on tonight's show, make sure you leave them on the comments section below. If you follow wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff, consider subscribing. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you disliked this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.